What's going on YouTube? So not that long ago, we took an extensive look at the refreshed 2021 Honda Accord in the Sport SE trim level. But today we wanted to take another look at it in the most powerful and most luxurious form, this 2.0T Touring. Like I said, this of course is the best the Accord has to offer. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So to start out with the exterior, the Touring trim doesn't change a ton, and it really doesn't change anything up here in the front. So what you will notice though are the 2021 updates. So the grille itself is a little bit larger this year. You also have the new chrome bars that run through it. And then across the top for the Touring trim level, you have the chrome trim. Now this chrome trim does run over here to your headlights, which are also refreshed for 2021. They are fully LED. They have that kind of jewel eye look with the little crystals inside, and you also have an updated LED daytime running light. And then down below that we have an LED fog light inside of a new housing. Now where you will notice that this is a Touring trim level is at your wheels. Since we have an exclusive and also new wheel design for 2021, these 19-inch contrast alloys, they have a really unique look, and I think they really stand out from the other trim levels especially. And then up here at your mirrors, they are of course heated. You have an LED turn signal, and then you also have blind spot monitoring built right in. Now before we talk about the rear design of this Accord Touring, I do want to point out one of the exclusive bits that you're going to get if you go for the Touring, and that's this chrome piece that goes all the way through the side and does kind of swoop up and into the back. It really just helps to give it a more premium and upscale look. Now moving around to the rear design itself, you're really not going to see a huge difference from the outgoing 2020 Accord or really anything else in the Accord lineup. So you're going to have these LED taillights. They're partially LED, not fully LED. And dropping down, we have a 2.0T Touring badge. And finally, at the rear diffuser, we have dual trapezoidal exhaust outlets. Those are going to be on the Touring and Sport models inside of a nice painted diffuser. Now for 2021, Honda has updated it to have all of their safety systems standard on even the base model. However, this Touring is going to have an exclusive feature, and that's low speed auto braking. So that's going to include even auto braking at parking lot speed, so if you're about to ram into something, it will go ahead and brake for you. But anyway guys, that's going to sum up the exterior design of this 2.0T Touring Accord, and we're about to go ahead and check out the inside and then take it on a spin. But before we do that, hit that subscribe button down below. So obviously, as the top trim level Accord, you will find the smart entry system, as well as remote start built into the key fob. And then to get inside the vehicle itself, just grab behind the chrome plated door handle. And then checking out the cabin, just like with the other trim levels, the refresh did subtly change a few details, and there are also some exclusive touches for just this Touring trim level. And then as far as your different interior material and color options are concerned, you will have standard real leather with the updated stitching design like in the other trim levels. And then you also have the same two color option as the other trim levels, which will be black and ivory. Now moving over here to your door trim, you'll see the same materials reflected up here. So we have a leatherette trimming across the armrest as well as above it. It is soft touch along the top. And then with the Touring trim level, we have the pretty realistic looking faux wood trim. Off to the side here, you'll find two-person memory seating, and then you have one-touch auto up and down windows for the driver and passenger. Driving down to the seats themselves, these are 12-way power adjusting with 4-way lumbar support. And then like I was already mentioning, this is real leather. Really feels nice, has a nice attractive stitching design as well with color contrast stitching and some perforation. So in terms of the overall cabin quality, all Accords do come with a nice cabin, but of course the Touring is going to be the, best the cabin can be. So across the upper dash, this is going to be a soft touch plastic with a nice graining. Below that, we have some more of that faux wood trim. And then as we go down to our lower areas, across the side of the console here, this is going to be padded with leatherette and a color contrast stitching detail. And then of course, in typical Honda fashion, everything in here is going to fit together absolutely seamlessly and feel very, very solid. Now to start it up, just put your foot on the brake and press the button. And if you haven't noticed, that is a new startup chime this year. And also in addition to that, the rear seat reminder you see on the display right there, that is new for 2021 with the rear seats. And a frequent complaint that a lot of people had was that there was no digital speed readout. That is now here for 2021. Now as far as the gauges themselves, the rest of this is the same as it always has been. So you can cycle through a lot of different kinds of information, including just traditional stuff like your tachometer right there for this display. Now for the Touring trim specifically, that will also throw in a head-up display. Now coming back to the steering wheel, of course you have a nice leather-wrapped steering wheel with a double stitching detail here with the Touring. Up top, you're going to find rain-sensing wipers for the Touring trim level only. And then as far as the wheel itself, it's going to be manual tilt and telescoping across all the models, and heating is unavailable in the United States even on this top model. Okay, so now let's go ahead and roll into interior storage. It's very important in a family vehicle. And just like the Accord always has been, you have a lot of space inside of this console. So when you toss that aside, really deep, has a nice rubber lining at the bottom and a 12-volt outlet inside. And when we get these coupons out, we can put those in there without even folding them slightly. And they just kind of lay at the bottom, so very impressive. Up in front of that, we've got our two cup holders. And then you can press back this, and this will reveal a large pad here. This is a wireless phone charging pad on this model, but only the Touring comes with the NFC pairing. We also have our relocated USB ports for 2021 and another 12-volt outlet. Then pulling back to the shifter, you'll notice this is quite a bit different than the 1.5 Sport that we reviewed a few weeks ago. That's because with the 2-liter engine, you get the electronic push-button style shifter. So of course for drive, you're just going to press the D. You do have paddle shifters on the steering wheel. And then for reverse, just pull back on the trigger. When you do, you will be greeted with the standard backup camera. You have parking sensors, you also have active trajectory and 3 different views, but you will notice that even the Touring does not come with a 360-degree camera system. Then for park, just press the P. Right behind that you have your 2 different drive modes, your electronic parking brake, and your brake hold function. Moving beyond that, we come to our climate controls. So this is a dual zone automatic setup like many of the other trim levels. You have nice physical controls here to adjust everything, and you do have that cool effect where it glows red when you turn it up and glows blue when you turn it down. Now what's exclusive to the Touring is the 3-stage seat ventilation. This is the only trim level that has that. Then up above that we have our volume knob for the top end 450 watt 10 speaker premium sound system. So let's go ahead and give that a sample. Overall sound quality is pretty good. It's not amazing, but it's definitely a big step up from that standard sound system you get on the lower end trim levels. Okay, so now let's move on up here to one of our areas that gets a big tech upgrade for 2021. So the display itself that you're looking at right now is the same 8-inch display that was there last year. However, what's new and what's special for the EXL and the Touring is that we have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay on board. So you notice I'm in the Android Auto system right now, and I'll just hold my phone up here to show you guys that indeed I am not plugged into anything, and the Android Auto system is running completely wirelessly. This does seem to work just as fast as being plugged into the device itself. And then as far as the main infotainment system, this is Honda's newest Honda Link system. With the Touring trim level, we do have an integrated navigation system as well, based on Garmin. And then as you can see, you have all the standard features, including things like your AT&T Wi-Fi hotspot, which is a Touring exclusive feature. Now up above that, we have a nice looking frameless auto dimming mirror with 3 HomeLink universal remotes. Then we also have a power sunroof. Now this is just the standard size unit. Unlike a few of the rivals, you cannot get a panoramic one on this Accord.
Now, if you've watched any of our previous Accord reviews, you know that there is a ton of space here in this rear seat, and I'm just incredibly impressed every time I sit back here. Now, as far as the measurements themselves, they're going to come in at 40.4 inches of rear legroom and 37 inches of rear headroom, which just place it above the Toyota Camry, Nissan Altima, as well as the Hyundai Sonata. This is pretty much the biggest one in the class, and sitting behind Drew's seating position, I would say I have a foot, if not more than a foot of space, and my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat. Really, you don't see this much space in anything outside of like a Mercedes S-Class. And going for the Touring is also going to throw in a lot more luxury than you've seen in other Accords. So we do have vents here in the center. Those are going to be on the higher end models. And then new for 2021, Honda has thrown in these 2 smart charging USB ports below that. And a Touring exclusive feature is here on the door trim, and that is your 3-stage heated rear seats. And then if we drop down the center armrest, we have cup holders inside. Now walking up to your tailgate, just locate the button under the lid to open up. And once you do, you're going to once again see a really large amount of space for this Honda Accord. You're going to come in at 16.7 cubic feet, which is larger than the vast majority of the segment, and maybe the largest in the entire segment. And as far as how Honda's finished it, we have a carpeting along the floor, and then we do have a spare tire up under the floor, and we also have the ability to fold the seat 60-40 split. Now here at your passenger seat on the Touring, of course, you're going to have the 4-way power adjustment. And then in front of the passenger, we do have a good-sized glove box. It's not the largest glove box I've ever seen, but it's certainly enough space to fit our coupons. So your Burger King coupons, McDonald's, whatever you wish, you can definitely fit a few of them in there. And then up top, we have a large sun visor with a mirror and light, and you can also detach and extend.
Quite strong. We were going up a pretty steep grade.
Yeah.
So with the Touring model, of course, as we said, you have the 2-liter engine, the 2.0T. So this is a 2-liter turbo, 4-cylinder, 253 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque. You know, as you can see, obviously that's quite a power upgrade from the standard model, and plenty of torque as well.
Yeah, we just got out of the Sport SE about a week and a half ago, and this certainly, you're going to notice the difference between that 1.5 liter turbo and this 2 liter. This really just kind of livens it up a lot more.
And speaking of liven up, here we are in kind of a twisty road, which is one of the Accord's strongest suits, and that does continue with the 2 liter as well. And even the Touring trim level, which is the more luxurious minded, you really just have excellent handling on board, like I've praised other Accords for. You know, when you go around corners, really flat. I mean, the chassis just stays exceptionally balanced. You know, the steering, natural, nicely weighted. I mean, it really is. It's very pleasant to drive. It's also quite fun to drive. You know, you can kind of come into corners.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, accelerate out of them. Pulls hard. I mean, it really is genuinely entertaining to drive.
Yeah, you may be tempted to think that this touring model is just going to be like the luxury focused version, and you know, of course, this does have a lot of luxury in it, but this also is a lot of fun with that 2-liter engine standard. It's a really blast to drive around, and you can also get it on the sport model if you don't want to go for this fully loaded touring as well.
Right, and you're probably also noticing one of the other reasons to get the 2-liter engine, like he said, with this touring standard or with the sport model, and that is the 10-speed automatic transmission. You know, we see the comments that you guys make. A lot of you guys don't care particularly for continuously variable transmissions, which is what comes with the 1.5 turbo. So in addition to the extra power, you get the traditional 10-speed automatic, which behaves very nicely. This is a great transmission, super smooth. Also, it's ready to shift when you put your foot down, so no like hesitation or lag, anything like that. It does pair really nice with this engine. So we'll take it up here to highway speed, because of course as a family vehicle, you know, you have fun on the twisties and whatnot, but a lot of what you're driving is going to be on the highway at about 55 miles an hour, which is where we're at right now. So
we'll get a sound level reading first. So it looks like cruising here, we're going to be sitting at 57.2 decibels, which is a very good reading for, you know, a high speed like 56 miles per hour. I do believe the Camry may be a touch quieter than that. In our recent comparison test, I do believe it tested around 54, but I really don't think that you're going to have too big of an issue with the amount of noise entering into this cabin. And more importantly is stuff like this. As you'll notice, we go over this bridge. These Touring does have adaptive dampers, and I'm really noticing the difference between this Touring and the Sport SE we tested just about a week ago. I mean, it really soaks up the bumps exceptionally well in this Touring model, like a luxury vehicle would. So I'm very impressed with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Very noticeable difference in the ride quality. Not that that was bad, but it's definitely on the firmer side. This really smooths things out a lot more. And then maybe it's just my head, but it does seem like it's quieter in here a little bit, at least.
Now we can go ahead and talk about the airball and slam dunk for this Accord Touring. For me, the slam dunk today is going to be this turbo engine. I really am a big fan of it. There's a lot to like with this Accord Touring, but I really think one of the biggest upgrades is having that turbo engine standard. If I had to complain about anything, I would say that the regular 1.5 liter turbo in the Accord can kind of seem sluggish almost with that CVT pairing, and this really just livens it up and makes it matches with the overall driving experience of this Accord delivers.
And for today's airball, we have a couple missing features basically that a lot of the competition offer at this point, and we wish Honda would have added with the refresh. For example, a 360-degree camera, panoramic sunroof, stuff like that. On the fully loaded model, a lot of the competition is offering it at this point.
Alright, so now let's go ahead and discuss the fuel economy. Now you may be thinking, that 2-liter engine is going to really cost you at the pump, and it really isn't. It's going to be rated at 22 city, 32 highway, 26 combined, which is very good fuel economy for an upgraded engine. It's going to be around 5 mpg less than the 1.5 liter turbo, so you are sacrificing a bit over that, but definitely not bad fuel economy by any means. And as far as the pricing is concerned, the Touring 2.0T is going to start at $36,700. Of course, that is atop the entire Accord lineup. And this one does have the optional white paint, and the destination charge of $955 to bring it to $38,050 as a quote.
And before I conclude here, I do want to mention one last thing. We don't have an auto start-stop system with the 2-liter model, and the 1.5 does have that, so something to keep in mind. But overall, there's just a lot to like about this Accord, especially when you choose the 2-liter model. It really just kind of takes all the nice things, all the strong suits about the Accord, and it just elevates things. You know, like the Acura TLX basically has this powertrain. You know, you're getting this at a pretty good price point, especially compared to something like that, and you have so much space, quite a bit of luxury and technology on board, and, you know, just a great overall package.
Well guys, we've enjoyed watching our second review of the refreshed 2021 Honda Accord, this time in the fully loaded 2.0T Touring trim level. We really appreciate you making it this far, and if you did make it this far, I know that means you enjoyed watching, so be sure to help us out by hitting that subscribe button down below. It doesn't cost you a nickel, although it does help us out a lot, so be sure to do that. And anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.